and integrity since 1979. Go to acrsolar.com. That's acrsolar.com.
It's time for game night, getting you ready for Sacramento Kings basketball.
He's got the bucket!
Game night is presented by Power Business Technology, your locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or visit them at powercopiers.com. Here's your host, Scott Marsh, alongside the high flyer, Henry Turner.
Good afternoon to you. Welcome inside our studios at KHDK. Game night coming your way. Scott Marsh along with the high flyer, Henry Turner. It is the fourth and final game of the road trip for the Kings. Sacramento looking for a sweep on the trip tonight in Utah as they get ready to take on the Jazz. Sacramento coming off that 132-118 victory over the Wizards. The Kings have now won 7 straight on the road. They have a winning record on the road for the year. They have the best road record in the Western Conference. And we could go on and on, Henry, about how good this Kings team's playing right now.
I was about to say, go ahead. Don't stop, man.
Want me to go 60 minutes? We're here till
I'm enjoying it.
Tonight. I'm happy to do that.
How good this basketball team has become. And Scooter, the amazing thing is that it happened in less than a year. You know, we marveled at what Phoenix was able to do when they went to the bubble and just really shocked everybody. Then the next year they were in contention to the finals. You know, we was like, wow, how did they do that? I mean, that happened very, very quickly. Well, the same thing with the Sacramento Kings. This year, man, it's just a whole total different ball of wax.
Nobody saw this coming. And, of course, so many awards are going to be coming the way of the Sacramento Kings. Another one coming out today is Sabonis has won his second consecutive Western Conference Player of the Week honors.
Well, you know what, Scooter? The way this guy walks into a triple-double, they might want to just like to get a trophy and put his name on it with just a bunch of dots next to it. Because, I mean, he's a walking triple-double, you know, and I really think that we take it for granted because we get a chance to see it night in and night out. But, man, I mean, he plays at an elite level every night.
Yeah, he's been absolutely amazing coming off another tremendous performance in Washington. 30 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. 1 rebound away from that triple-double. Would have been his 13th of the year. There's just nothing he hasn't done for this Kings team.
He's done everything, no doubt. I mean, even when you start talking about initiating the offense, grabbing the rebound, and starting the fast break, this is your center doing this. So, you know, of course, he's able to do things like that. This basketball team is going to be special. When was the last time you seen a center initiate the offense consistently?
Nope.
Consistently?
Nope. There's maybe one other in the league, and that's it.
I mean,
he's a 2-time defending MVP.
I mean, when you talk about, and really, he don't bring the ball up like Sabonis does.
No, not the same way.
No. Sabonis starts the fast break.
Yes.
He pushes it that way. I mean, as dominant as Shaquille O'Neal was, as great as Akeem Olajuwon was in the NBA, and, you know, and I can just keep going down, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, some of the greatest centers to ever play the game, none of them did what Sabonis does as far as initiating the offense.
No, he has been a tremendous, tremendous acquisition for the Kings. Has so many other for Sacramento. Monte McNair, again, as we talk about awards, in my mind, the favorite for the executive of the year. We'll be with you until 5:30 tonight, getting you ready for Kings Live pregame. Tip tonight, 6 o'clock, as the Kings going for their 44th win of the year. And we know Denver continues to struggle. They did get 1 of 2 over the weekend. But again, as we look at it, the Kings are right there with a chance to perhaps get the number 1 seed in the Western Conference.
You know what, Scooter? You know, I just want the Kings to keep playing basketball the way they are accustomed to right now. You know, whether they catch Denver or not, I just want them to stay consistent in how they're playing and how they are approaching the game. Because for me right now, the 1 seed, the 2 seed, it's all the same. You know, the end-all goal is still, you know, right there at the tip of their fingers. And if they come in playing the exact same way, I think this team could do something special once they hit the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. And when you look back on Saturday night, you know, they've done it so many different ways. Saturday against the Wizards, it was kind of a way we've become accustomed to with this Kings team. They scored over 130 points. They shot 55% from the field. They shot almost 60% from downtown. And they were 22 of 37. The only thing they didn't really shoot well were free throws. They were 14 of 23. But again, when the Kings hit 22 threes, you're not going to beat them. That was one shy of their team record.
Yes. And actually, Jason and I thought that team record was going to be shattered the way they started off knocking down those 3-pointers. But it's just one thing scary with all that positivity, Scott.
Yep.
You named off all the stats that was just so, just so in the stratosphere on the positive side. The one thing that scares me with all of that is that the defensive presence really gets looked over when they shoot the basketball at such a high clip.
It does, and defense certainly has been a challenge. I mean, they've been anywhere from 25th to 28th in the league in total defensive ratings. But again, if we're being fair, they've been a pretty good fourth quarter defensive team.
They've been able to come up with stops. But Scott, we've seen certain games to where once the Sacramento Kings, it gets out of hand, it gets too far to come back. But, I understand if you have a great offensive effort during the regular season, you're going to be able to win. I'm like Mike Brown now. I'm looking past the regular season. I usually don't do this, but I'm looking past the regular season when you start talking about trying to make some noise in the playoffs. It's a different type of game.
Yeah.
It's a different style of game. So I'm looking like, okay, well, is offense really going to take them far once they hit the playoffs?
And that's one thing I want to get into, and we've got plenty of time to do it here in this hour. I want to know, I mean, the playoffs, we know they're different than the regular season, but are we going to see the evolution of the playoffs being more offensive minded like we have in the regular season? I mean, we've seen numbers in this regular season that have never been in any other regular season before.
True.
Will the defense truly start to shine and be that much more important once the postseason starts?
I think so. And the reason why is, Scott, during the regular season, okay, we might play, just say, for example, we might play Toronto and you might not see Toronto for another month, to where you don't get a chance to really scout Toronto and know what they do. But when you're in the playoffs, you're playing that team back to back, off a day, back to back, off 2 days, and then maybe again another back to back. So
scouting, absolutely locked in.
After that second game, Scott, there's no secrets. Okay. It's all about execution after that second game, because you're so locked in now. When teams are coming down calling plays, the other teams, they know exactly what that play is.
Right.
Like I say, so it all comes down to, okay, who's going to out execute the other team? And that's why I say the defense kicks in now, because it now comes down to, okay, we know your play. We're going to stop you from executing it, which is defense, and we're going to get the rebound and try to push out and try to execute our offense. So that's where the defense really ramps up when you play so closely in a time manner. And
I agree with all of that. It makes total sense. I just wonder, at the rate the Kings are clicking and what they've shown, and when they're executing at a high level, does any of that make a difference?
I think so. I honestly do, because, the way the Kings score, everybody can score on that basketball team. But you really have to understand this too, is that the head of our snake is De'Aaron Fox.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw a little bit of it with the Clippers.
The double teaming in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. What's going to happen when teams get smart and say, okay, we're not going to let De'Aaron beat us.
Yeah.
We're not going to let fourth quarter Fox do what he's been accustomed to doing. Now, all of a sudden, the Kings got to change their style. And when you start double teaming De'Aaron, getting the ball out of De'Aaron's hands, we've seen what happened to this team when De'Aaron isn't quite Herculean out there. It seems like the offense gets stagnant. So that's what I'm saying. The defensive presence, I really want to see how the Kings are going to react to that.
Yeah, no, I think that's all very fair. Well, the one thing that was great to see on Saturday was a TD sighting. And he was very effective. Terence Davis played 29 minutes. He scored 21 points. He had 7 rebounds, a couple of steals. And again, he didn't start again with Herter out, and Herter's going to be out again tonight as well. We'll get more into that on the Who's on the Floor report later in the program. But it was Kessler Edwards who started, and Kessler played fairly well too, played 19 minutes, but Terence Davis got his minutes and he really stepped up big time.
Scott, first of all, let's salute Terence Davis.
Yep.
I salute him 100%, because in a situation to where he's in, the last time Terence Davis had seen some substantial minutes was the last time Kevin Herter was out. Mike Brown comes to him and said, hey, we need you, rings the bell. Terence Davis comes out and plays great in place of Herter. I want to say had 20-something plus points. And then the next night, didn't see the floor.
Right.
All right. And then hadn't seen the floor for meaningful minutes since then. Now, all of a sudden, Kevin Herter goes down again. I'm just explaining the whole situation.
Yep, I'm listening.
Kevin Herter goes down again. And you would think that, okay, Terence Davis will get the call because that has been the norm.
Yep.
But now, Kelsey gets the call. If you're TD, and, you know, all players have egos. I'm sorry. All players have feelings and expectations. So that didn't jump. You don't get the call. You can easily, Scott, go into pout mode.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? You're not going to start me? Well, okay, all right, that's fine. I'm not going to do nothing. But Terence Davis didn't do that.
Not at all.
He didn't elect to be that type of guy. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you take 10 guys and put them in that situation, in my mind, you're going to get 7 of them that's going to take the pout route.
Yep.
He didn't do that. He came in, stayed professional, and gave this basketball team everything they wanted and everything that the team needed. So once again, take your hat off of that man for being professional, having a professional mindset, and coming out and doing his job.
No doubt. He was fantastic, and it was great to see him get awarded with the minutes, and he earned them. And now, again, it puts Mike Brown in the situation. How do you work with those minutes off the bench? But it's a good problem to have, always more rather than less.
I will say this, Scott. It's almost like a catch-22 type situation because they are 2 total different style of players.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Terence Davis is straight offense. He's microwave. He's long range jump shot. He could break his guy down, get to the basket and score. And you know, in some instances, you know, he's organized chaos. He's going up and down, up and down, up and down. Kessler Edwards is a more defensive minded player. He's more methodical at what the shots he takes. He don't take too many risks out there. And he's a guy that who can stay in front of his man. He's a quote unquote Mike Brown guy. That's why he's on this basketball team. So, you know, when you start to about how you're going to distribute minutes, I think it's all going to come down to how Mike Brown feels this team is playing defensively.
I agree with you for that. All right, game night's underway here. It's the final game of the road trip for the Kings. They're in Utah tonight. A chance to sweep the Jazz and to come home against the Celtics 4-0 on the road. That's a big game tomorrow night with the C's in town. Looking forward to that. No doubt Golden One Center will be rocking for that. But first, it's Utah. And when we come back, we're going to have a lot of updates on the Jazz and who will be in a Jazz uniform tonight and who will not, because the Kings are catching some big-time breaks as they seemingly have all season long. Game night is always brought to you by Power Business Technology. Experience how the power of family can help you with all your business copier needs. Give them a call today, 1-844-POWER-BZ. Or go to powercopiers.com. More of Game Night coming your way right here on Sactown Sports 1140.
All righty, we are live on YouTube.
We are. Are we going to introduce our guests?
Would you like to introduce them for us?
We have a couple of people who I don't know how they were conned into doing it, but actually bidded money to come see this show today, Kyle.
I know. It's pretty cool. I got to meet them. They're very nice.
Garrett and Natalie, you guys want to come over here?
Yeah. So hop on in. Those chairs get you right in the camera, so that will work perfectly.
I was going to have you come over here. We'd snap a photo.
Well, there you go.
But then you can move seats as well. Come on in here. Yes, we're going to take a selfie.
Uh-huh.
And we'll get the high flyer eventually. Why don't you, whoops, we'll figure this out. Yeah. High flyer, you want to get in the picture with us?
As well.
Kyle, why don't you come in and take the picture?
All right, then.
Okay. Yes, we're on our YouTube. So we're streaming right now. Yeah, awesome. Exactly. So we'll have Kyle take in the photo. It's right over there. This one here? Yeah. Okay.
Nice, Garrett. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. I got a whole bunch of them.
Perfect.
So you can go through and figure out which ones are the best.
We will send them out to them. We are very thankful that they came out here. And High Flyers, I said, I don't know how they got conned into spending money to come watch us do a show, but I'm glad it all went to a good cause.
Well, Scooter, they wanted to see your face, buddy.
We know that with my face for radio, that's not the case. And the people on the YouTube are having to suffer through that. So we get that. But all right, Kyle, what do we have going on in the chat?
Well, first, I would like to come back to your conversation about offense in the playoffs because it's very interesting. I do want to shout out Rich in the chat. He said,
that his son Joaquin and his 4 grandchildren are going to be in Salt Lake City tonight rooting on the Kings.
Nice. Are they going to chant Light the Beam?
I hope they're going to chant Light the Beam tonight.
Okay, better be wearing their Kings gear.
Yep, it should be pretty cool. They drove from Idaho Falls to go to the game tonight.
That's awesome,
Sweet.
Rich. Way to go, Rich.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's going to be fun. To your point about offense in the playoffs, I think we're already starting to see this change because obviously offensive efficiency numbers are way up. If you look at some of the top performances in the history of finals, you think of Giannis in 2021. He had the second most points in a finals series ever. 3 of the top 10 points per game in the finals all time are Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, and the aforementioned Giannis. Last year's Steph Curry championship was, I believe, his 3rd best performance in terms of points per game and efficiency numbers. So I think we're starting to see some of those offensive explosions in the playoffs.
All right. What do you make of that, Henry?
Okay.
I threw a lot
He's
of
real
numbers
impressed.
out.
Yeah.
No,
Very impressed by that.
I'm not.
I thought it was very interesting that you brought up that point.
I mean, because I understand what he said, when Giannis went off and beat Phoenix. Well, Phoenix let that happen. There's no way I'm going to, like I said, and it's a 7-game series.
Yes.
10 seconds.
Okay. We'll get into it on the
Okay.
radio side here. Welcome back in the game night right here, Sactown Sports, 1140. Scott Marshall on with the high flyer, Henry Turner. We'll take you until 5:30 tonight. Get you ready for Kings Live pregame. Tip tonight, 6 o'clock. G-Man with the call. Kings and Jazz, 3rd of 4 games this season between these two teams. They'll be back here on Saturday night. So the Kings are going to see a lot of the Jazz this week, twice in a 5-day span. If you want to call the program, 1-800-920-1140. We'd love to hear from you. Of course, we're on our YouTube page at Sactown 1140. Some good conversation during the break. We're excited. We know Rich is going to be out there rooting the Kings on, him and his family attending the game in Utah tonight. We're happy to hear all about that. We had some more conversation about the offense versus defense in the playoffs. Kyle rattled off some pretty impressive numbers about the highest scoring games have all come in the last few years. Henry, I know you still are buying that defense really will be a bigger part of the playoffs.
I do, because, I was talking about how Giannis just ran through Phoenix and just totally took that championship. And what I was talking about, Scott, is in a 7-game series, how many games do you think it's going to take for me to figure out, if I'm a head coach, that you meet Giannis at half court and if he still has the ball, once he gets to the 3-point line, you run somebody at him and make him get off of that ball. If you let Giannis just dribble the ball like Phoenix did all the way to the basket and you don't put up a wall against him, yeah, he's able to get you 50. But there's no way after watching Giannis for 4 games, I'm going to let him do that in the 5th game. If you do, you deserve to lose. Anybody, I mean, when you come up against any basketball player that many times and you can't stop them, that's something that is like, come on, man. Are you for real? Now, Steph Curry is a different situation because they had 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's no way you stopping all 4 of them when they're running for a championship. But we're talking about Giannis. Giannis was basically a one-man wrecking machine that series.
Yeah, no doubt. And his 50-point performance,
it was
in
great.
Game 6, it was one of the great all-time NBA performances.
It was great, but and I don't really care because I don't even have a dog in the fight. But my thing is, I'm sitting on my chair screaming, when are you going to double team him?
Yeah.
When are you going to double team him? Scott, we know this. 1-on-1, Giannis is such an athletic freak. Nobody is guarding him 1-on-1. You mean to tell me you're going to leave DeAndre Ayton on him 1-on-1? Please, how should I say that? Barbecue chicken.
Yeah, it ain't going to work. And again, I think our point is in the playoffs, how often is Fox going to get double teamed in that 4th quarter?
Right.
So
right. I honestly think that that's going to happen. And same thing with Sabonis. I think that Sabonis is going to start seeing a double team. So the Kings are going to have to start figuring out, okay, how and what are we going to be able to do to combat this double team? We did already seen teams come out and throw the little quirky matchup zone at the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah. It'll be interesting as the Kings get ready for the playoffs. You know, this is pretty cool, but the Kings can clinch the playoff spot at home this week.
At home,
Yeah,
that'll be nice.
wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be nice. I mean, this team is just, has pushed past all expectations, man, and everything that they're lining up and everything that they're doing. I mean, I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it. I'm loving the energy. I'm loving the effort. I'm loving the vibe. Dude, this is a great time to be a Sacramento Kings fan.
It is. The magic number is currently at 4. So based upon what goes on, obviously the Kings win tonight. They have their own destiny to do it this week. They win tonight, they win tomorrow, they beat Phoenix on Friday. Then they would be, regardless of what any other team did,
right,
on Saturday, they could close it out against this very same Jazz team.
And seeing Scott, I'm loving that, what you just said. Regardless to what any other team is doing,
Yep.
This is what the Sacramento Kings can achieve. You don't need help.
Nope.
You control your own destiny. I like that.
Yep. And speaking of tonight, the Kings certainly control their own destiny for a perfect road trip. We said for the Kings that Trey Lyles available, no Kevin Huerter. We'll have more on that later. But for the Jazz tonight, and again, it seems like the Kings have had a lot of good things go their way tonight. For the Jazz, no Jordan Clarkson, no Lauri Markkanen, and no Colin Sexton.
Ooh.
So, and we always say, like, what does that mean? Because teams tend to rally around, and just because some of their star players are gone doesn't mean that there's not NBA players on the other side of the floor. But man, if you told me the Kings are playing tonight and there's no Lauri Markkanen out there and Jordan Clarkson,
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Because Markkanen, I love the way this kid plays. I mean, what
he's the most improved player in the league,
I'm
right?
telling you, for what he's done this year, he's definitely proven that he deserves to be in this league. And then we know what Jordan Clarkson brings. Jordan Clarkson can start for any NBA team.
Yes.
He brings a lot of electricity and a lot of scoring for the Utah Jazz. So seeing that he's not out there, that's a big part. And even Sexton. Sexton is the guy that comes off the bench, gives up big time numbers also. So that's a lot of points that the Jazz are missing. And granted, like you said, they have NBA players to come off the bench and, replace those guys. But those guys aren't used to giving those type of numbers. And I always have this saying, and we had this back when I was playing, it's like, don't let it be you. That saying mean that don't let a guy come off the bench and give you the same type of numbers that the starter would. Don't let it be you. You do not let those guys come off and have those big-time games.
Yeah, and to your point, too, the Jazz did have Markkanen on Saturday night against the Celtics, but they did not have Clarkson. They did not have Sexton, and they beat the Celtics at home on Saturday night, 118-117. It was a great game. Walker Kessler, who's really starting to play better, came up with a huge block late on that game against Williams that preserved the victory on that one. So, I mean, the Jazz, they're a team too. Let's not forget they're right in the play-in scenario, 34-36. They're one game back in the win column against the Lakers for that last and final play-in spot. So they've got motivation tonight.
Oh, for sure, Scooter, no doubt. But what I'm saying is that, if you're in a uniform and you're not seeing, quote unquote, the usual starter that's on that team, don't let somebody come off the bench and have starter type night. There's no way that you're supposed to be able to do that. And if you do, you deserve to lose the game.
No doubt. And but the Kings, for the most part, have been good about that all season long. As you've always said, it's not about necessarily what your home and road record is. It's not having those big losing streaks. Now, for the Kings, it really is about their home and road record. I mean, they're 22-13 on the road. They far and away have the best road record of any team in the Western Conference. It's not even close at this point. I mean, you look at the Western Conference, the Clippers are the only other team that have a winning road record. They're 19-18. The Nuggets are 500 on the road at 18-18.
Like I said, that just goes to show what this team is capable of and what they're able to do. So, I really think they're ready, Scott, because most times you talk about a team being dominant at home and they're just okay on the road. Are they going to be able to win on the road in a 7-game series? Well, the Kings already checked that box off. they had already showed that playing on the road means nothing to them. They know how to win. They still play the exact same style. I think a lot of that, take your hat off to Mike Brown, because he got those guys ready and let those guys know that playing at home, winning at home is a plus, but you play the exact same way on the road and you should be fine.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job with that. Winners of 7 straight away from Golden One Center, a chance to make it 8 straight before they host the Boston Celtics tomorrow night. When we come back, we're going to go around the league. Some news on LeBron. It wasn't from him, but Darvin Ham came out, spoke to the media, and we'll talk about that because, again, we're tired of the medical reports that say reevaluated in 2 weeks' time, which doesn't really mean anything. I'll let you decide if Darvin Ham's comments about LeBron's return really means anything or not. That and a lot more. Game Night being brought to you by the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento. If you have a heart of service, want to do something good in our community and want to help out kids in need, you really should check out Big Brothers and Big Sisters. There's many kids ages 7 to 18. They're being raised by single parents. They could really use a mentor influence in their lives. Perhaps that could be you. Give Big Brothers, Big Sisters a call, 916-646-9300, or visit bbbs-sac.org to learn all about it. More of Game Night right here on Sactown Sports 1140.
All righty, we're live on YouTube.
All right, what do we got in the chat room?
Well, in the chat room, talking about the Jazz game just led to all of us reminiscing about the Kevin Huerter game winner at Golden One Center back in December, because until the Clippers Kings game, that was my favorite moment of the entire season.
And then Fox with the game winner in game 2.
I mean, that one was wild too. I mean, I didn't watch that game, but the other one I was working, so it felt really cool to see Huerter make that shot. You guys were at the arena when it went down. It was great.
That was absolutely amazing. That place was electric when Huerter hit that shot. It reminded me a lot of Bogey's game winner against the Lakers a couple of years ago. Remember how that place went off? Same time of year too. It was right around the holidays, everything else.
Yeah, you know what? I actually think our crowd went a little bit more nuts against that Lakers. When
I agree with you. I agree with you. I said it reminded me of. I didn't say it was as electric.
As great as the fans have been this year, they have definitely showed up and showed out. But that shot right there, believe me, the Sacramento Kings fans really enjoyed that.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, and it's just been so much fun. We're probably going to talk about this next segment, but Shams announced earlier today, it looks like Ja Morant is back on Wednesday for the Memphis Grizzlies.
We were going to get into that,
is interesting because the Grizzlies have, you said tread water the other day. They've done well in treading water until Ja Morant gets back.
They've done what they had to do. He's missed. This will be his 8th. It's 8 games, and if he's not going to participate tonight, it'll be his 9th. The Grizz in their last 10 are 6-4. They've won 2 straight. They've done enough to keep themselves right in the thick of things. I mean, for the 2 seed, and just like the Kings we talk about with Denver, they still have a shot at the 1 seed. You agree?
Yeah, I do, Scott. I actually think that Memphis has treaded water, like you said, but I think they took care of their work early.
Mm-hmm.
They had enough equity early on. That's why when the Kings were winning basketball games, we were like, look, they need to step on the accelerator, they need to keep winning. When everybody was bunched up in that situation at one time, I think Memphis built up enough equity to when Ja went out, even if they lost a few games, like I said, they only went 6-4. Usually if Ja was there, you're looking at them saying, okay, 9-1, maybe 8-2. But Ja is out, so they don't have to play big-time basketball. Just hold on and hold court, and you will be okay. That's what the equity did for them.
Yeah, it did, no doubt. And, again, their bigger picture is, when is Steven Adams coming back, right?
Yes.
I love that Steven Adams has just become the focal point of the entire team. They go or don't go without Steven Adams. It's great.
Well, they're going to go even if he isn't there.
Well, I tell you what, Tyus Jones is such a good point guard. As great as Ja Morant is, Tyus Jones can handle that job. I mean, to me, he's almost like what Jalen Brunson was with Dallas.
And see, and when some people really don't understand. This is why we're leaning so hard on Steven Adams. The other kid isn't there. Clark?
Brandon Clark, yeah.
He's out for the year. We do know that.
Brandon Clark is out for the year. So if Brandon Clark was
10
available
seconds.
for them, we're not crying, okay, hurry up Steven Adams, because Brandon Clark gets the job done.
Agreed. Welcome back into Game Night right here, Sactown Sports, 1140. Scott Marshall on with the High Flyer Henry Turner. Good conversation going on our YouTube site at Sactown 1140. You can watch us there, join in, and give us a like. You can call us at 1-800-920-1140. The Kings looking for the series win against the Jazz tonight as well. It won't really make a difference because the Jazz aren't threatening to catch the Kings, but just another note there. And, of course, if tonight's game is anything like the first two games, we know it's going to be a great game. The game here back in December, the first game, it was Kevin Huerter who hit that three-pointer that won the game for the Kings. And then last time out, De'Aaron Fox with that driving layup that won the game. And let's not forget Lauri Markkanen hit that three-pointer after that Grant Hill to Christian Laettner pass, the pass from De'Aaron Fox to Harrison Barnes. But it was a tenth of a second after the red light went off.
And let me tell you, for a second,
I thought it was good.
All the air was let out of Golden One. Because, I mean, when he shot that ball, it didn't hit the backboard. No. It didn't hit the rim. It was just straight swish. And I was like, oh, my God, he made it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. And what a devastating end it would have been to have lost that game after De'Aaron Fox pulled off another one of his last-second heroics. But it was definitely after the buzzer, and the Kings held on to win that game. All right, we'll break down more of that in the next segment. Let's go around the league. Again, the Lakers making some noise as they always seemingly do. They win last night, and it was Austin Reeves who really pulled them through it. Austin Reeves went for 35 last night.
Okay.
He had himself a ball game.
Yes. And, you know, Scott, Austin Reeves is a good player. I mean, that's the reason why the Lakers have him. But at the end of the day, if you're a player that you're starting to get more and more and more playing time, and then all of a sudden, you know, the team start really looking at you to score the basketball and you start having some success, yeah, your numbers are going to go up because you're getting more opportunities and, you know, plays are being run for you.
No doubt. More minutes for him. He did it off the bench, which was impressive. He also had 6 rebounds and 6 assists in the win. Maybe the bigger news out of that one, and we laugh at the medical reports that say reevaluation in 2 weeks. Well, you know, Darvin Ham, of course, anytime he's doing his pregame presser or postgame, when's LeBron coming back? When's LeBron coming back? So his answer to the question was, quote, LeBron James return at some point. Thanks for that. Now, at some point this year was his quote. What does that mean? He's coming back at some point this year.
That means he don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Say I don't know.
And you know what, Scott? That means he don't know. That means the staff don't know. The medical staff don't know, because it's probably one of those things to where when LeBron feels like, or if he feels like coming back, he will. And if he don't feel like coming back, like I've been telling you, how long is LeBron James going to be engaged and be happy or suffice with enough to say, we just made the not playoffs, play in.
Yep. And it says he'll be reevaluated on Thursday. Is it fair to draw any correlation, any comparison to LeBron breaking Kareem and now not playing?
Of course.
Okay. I thought so. Just wanted to ask you.
You know, LeBron can say all he wants. Oh, well, you know, I'm just playing basketball. I'm just playing basketball. I'm sorry. When you see a record such as that in your grasp, yeah, you're going to play every night and you're going to do everything that you possibly can to break that record. Now, after that's taken care of and that record's broken, now you look back at exactly what's going on. Are we going to make the playoffs? Are we going to make the play-in? Or am I going to even try to kill myself? I know I'm, 37, be 38, 39 next year. Ooh, I'm putting a lot of miles on this body. I'm still trying to play with Bronny. I'm going to have to save something here. How long is he going to be engaged? Because Scott, I've always said this. Guys like LeBron James, you might not be on a championship or bust team, but a guy like LeBron, it's championship or bust.
No doubt.
So, just being happy and saying, okay, you know what? We finally got it together. The team is playing better. We made it. We didn't do anything, but we made it. That's not going to help LeBron any. He wants to be on a squad that's basically going and trying to win a championship.
No, for sure. So we don't know about his return. The one thing we do know for Anthony Davis, last night was his 46th game of the year. You know how many games he's averaged the last 3 seasons playing per year?
He ain't played 40 games yet.
46 games per season the past 3. He's at 46 this year.
I'm saying
he's Mr. 46, right?
He's about halftime.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? I still
consistent.
think, Scott, I still think that the Anthony Davis situation with them is still up in the air. I really think it is. I think that for a minute, the LA Lakers have brought in and said, okay, Anthony Davis is our future. But now I think it's in serious question about, okay, is Anthony Davis going to be everything that we need him to be when LeBron leaves?
Yeah, lots of questions for the Lakers. They still are in a play-in situation with all of this swirling, so we'll see how that all shakes out. Of course, the Jazz are right there too. That's why it's a big game for Utah tonight in terms of trying to get into a play-in situation. Other big news around the league, Shams Charania reporting that Ja Morant expected to be back Wednesday, will not be back tonight. He is eligible to return tonight, but he will not return for the game at home versus the Mavs, but will be back on Wednesday. With Ja back, does that put the Grizz right back in title contention? Were they there before? I mean, it'll be interesting to see how quickly he integrates back in, all those things with the Grizz.
They're a good basketball team without Ja. They've proven that. They're able to win basketball games. They're a better basketball team with Ja. Now, is all this that didn't happen, has it affected his play any? I don't think so. Ja was still playing at a very high level when all of this stuff jumped off. So I expect him to come back and be playing just as good as he was when he got suspended. So at the end of the day, I have to agree, Scott. I think that when he comes back, it's still going to push Memphis a little higher than where they were. Not much, but a little bit higher, because you're getting an all-star caliber player back.
Yep. It can't do anything but make you better.
Right.
No doubt about that. Nuggets won last night, so they held off a stretch where they had lost 5 of 6, beating the Nets. The Suns lose to the Thunder, 124-120. Shai Gilgeous went for 40 in that game. Booker had 46. But watch out, because right now the Thunder are 8th in the Western Conference. They're only a half game back of the Warriors.
Hey, the Thunder say y'all can slip on us if y'all want to, but we're going to keep chipping them off. And next thing you know, they're going to be right there in the fight.
Yeah, no doubt. How about the Hawks? This is a terrible loss. They were up 28 against the Spurs, ended up losing to San Antonio 126-118. You can't let that happen for a team that's trying to themselves get into the playoffs.
Oh, man, I thought Quinn Snyder was going to bring the magic.
Here's the answer.
He was going to bring the sauce.
Yep.
What happened?
I think there's some explaining to do in Atlanta at the moment, right?
You know what? And if you really look at the overall totality of what's going on in Atlanta, the problem isn't the coach.
Might be with the ice trays.
I'm just saying, the problem isn't the coach. They left Nate McMillan, which they had a problem, and they moved on to Quinn Snyder, and the problem is still there. So that proves right there, Scott, the problem isn't in the coach.
Yeah, and again, Snyder signed a 5-year deal, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah. All right, tonight's games, Pacers and Hornets. Indy leading that one 63-49, second quarter. Bulls and Sixers. Chicago up at the half 44-40. Embiid 11-9 through the first 24. The Timberwolves without Anthony Edwards, who suffered that ankle injury. They're leading at the end of 142-32 over the Knicks. Later on tonight, the Warriors. Or how do you size up this one? The Warriors are playing the Rockets, who are maybe the worst team in the league.
Right.
They're 12-25.
They're playing them where?
They're at home.
Okay.
Taking on the Warriors. So how do you size the Warriors? Of course, are 7-29 away from home. Who's favored in that game?
Man, Scott, it's been such a quandary of what's going on with the Golden State Warriors on the road play. You know, they play so well at home. They have beaten good quality teams. They just beat Milwaukee before Milwaukee came and thumped us up. So, you know, they've proven that they can get it done at home. It's just all about they just stunk on the road, man. I mean,
terrible.
And it really is a quandary about what's going on, what's different.
It makes no sense. That's one of the most puzzling things. This isn't a young team, obviously,
at all.
Right? I mean, they know how to win on the road. They've proven it. They've won championships on the road.
This is a championship or bust team. You have probably one of the oldest and most experienced rosters in the league, and especially if you're talking about championships, they got the number one experienced roster. So why you can't win on the road? What's happening?
Yeah, it's not explainable. All right, that's a look around the league. Of course, the game we're most concerned about, Kings and Jazz. Sacramento going for their 44th win of the year, their 23rd win of the year on the road, and of course, a sweep on this road trip. When we come back, we'll get to the Who's on the Floor report, break things down. Kings and Jazz. It's game night right here. Sactown Sports, 1140.
All righty, we're clear.
Okay. What's the latest on our YouTube chat?
We had one question for HT, which is, we've talked about this a couple times, but we haven't in a couple weeks. The team you're most looking forward to playing in the first round for the Kings.
Well, if I can pick and choose, that team probably won't make it. But I would, if I had it my way, I would say Portland. But to be realistic, I think the Kings could beat any team right now. I mean, I haven't seen a team out there that really scares me about this with the Sacramento Kings. But I would probably say Minnesota.
Interesting, because I agree with you as opposed to the alternatives, and then I look up and Minnesota's beat us twice this year, but I know the Ant-Man's out now.
True. No, Minnesota's played us tough, to your point. They beat us here.
Yep.
We split on the road with them. Right. Both those games were very competitive games. So, but yeah, if they don't have Anthony Edwards, different story. That's lights out. We'll see what that's all about and see how that develops. I mean, from a fan standpoint, of course, I want to see Lakers in the first round, and I want to see Warriors in the second round.
I totally understand that. There's a deep history there. You want that matchup and those teams to get eliminated by the Kings.
I mean, we've got to beat the Lakers in a playoff series, first of all. That has not happened, right? I mean, so that's got to get done.
That would be number one if that can get pulled off.
Yes.
But the problem is that you have to look at the pros and the cons with that.
Yeah.
If you get the Lakers and all of a sudden the Lakers get right.
Sure.
Oh boy, that would be a series.
The Lakers could get right, and like Coach Darwin Ham said, he's gonna return
some point.
At some point.
If this Lakers team beats this Kings team, I don't think we're ever going to hear the end of it up here. That's going to be brutal.
That would be beyond awful. But I truly believe that the Kings would beat the Lakers in a 7-game playoff series. And for the Warriors, I mean, one of the stats that still just blows my mind is that in the 38 years that the Kings have been here, the Warriors and the Kings have never been in the playoffs in the same year. That's almost
crazy.
Mathematically impossible with the number
crazy.
of teams that make the playoffs every year.
It's just a trip because it seems like when the Warriors were good, the Kings were bad.
Yep.
And when the Kings were good, the Warriors was bad. It's almost like it almost.
There's been a lot of years where they were both bad too.
There know some years where they were both bad, right?
And when the Warriors become the greatest dynasty since the Spurs, the Kings have a 16-year playoff drought.
I mean, we had an 8-year straight playoff run, and the Warriors didn't make it one of those 8 years. I mean, so.
I mean, Scott, I remember it was funny though. It was like I remember years to where we used to just count the Golden State Warriors as a win. Oh, we got them.
Yeah,
no problem. The Warriors, no problem. Same thing with the Clippers. No problem.
Funny you should mention them. I've been consistent since February. I want the Clippers. I'm not a coward. I want that 7-game series really badly.
The two teams I don't want, at least until you get to a conference final situation, is Phoenix and the Clips, because I think those are the two biggest threats.
Sleeping on Denver. Still sleeping on Denver.
I would take a 7-game series against Denver over those two teams.
Ooh, would you?
Yeah, I would. Just because Denver's untested in the playoffs. They haven't
They've
been playing well
won
here.
4 playoff series.
I will say this.
10 seconds too.
Okay.
We're out at 24-0-0.
All right. Wrapping things up here on game nights. Sactown Sports 1140. Kings Live pregame coming up at the bottom of the hour. It's a 6 o'clock tip tonight in Salt Lake City. Kings and Jazz. Sacramento looking for their 8th straight road win, their 3rd win of the year against Utah. We're going to get into the Who's on the Floor report tonight. It's brought to you by Gold River Floors. 3 locations to serve you. Sacramento Flooring off Power Inn Road in Sacramento. Gold River Carpet One off Highway 50 in Rancho Cordova. And Gold River Flooring America off East Bidwell in Folsom. For the Kings, some good news. Some news still waiting to hear about. But Kevin Huerter, because of that muscle behind his knee still bothering him. He's listed as questionable, but we were told he was not going to play tonight. Trey Lyles with the shoulder will play tonight for the Kings. As for the Jazz, Lauri Markkanen, their all-star, is out with his back. Jordan Clarkson, a hand injury, and Colin Sexton, his hamstring, will not allow him to go. So some key pieces for the Jazz out. Of course, for the Kings, no Kevin Huerter. We talked about it. Most likely, Kessler Edwards starts again, I'm assuming, and we'll see a lot of, obviously, Malik Monk, and we'll see a lot of Terence Davis based on what he did on Saturday.
Right. You really have to look at what those guys just did. And, the way they shot the basketball, it will be asinine if the Kings didn't come out and look at that once again. You would hope that good hot shooting hand would carry over for at least a couple of games. You wouldn't just want to think that it was just a one and done. So, yeah, I definitely think that Coach Brown will take a look.
Yeah, I think so too. And again, the Jazz are a team that offers some height inside. Walker Kessler, as a rookie, has really started to play some pretty good basketball against the Celtics. 12 points, 14 rebounds, 3 block shots. We talked about that final play of the game. Blocking Grant Williams' shot was certainly instrumental in their win.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Scott, to where you get a chance to play because of your defensive paralysis, and that's your staple. That's what you do the best. And then, being on a team that's such a high-octane offensive squad, and we know Kessler Edwards is in this situation to where he can score the basketball. Everybody that's in the NBA can score the ball. That's why they're here. So, all he has to do is get a chance and, take the shots that's open and be consistent, shoot the basketball. You're going to be able to score for the Kings.
Yeah, for sure. Taylor Horton-Tucker, another guy who's starting to fit in with Utah, 19 against the Celtics. It's so interesting with Utah because this was the team that everybody assumed was just Danny Ainge was blowing it up. It's the Wembanyama sweepstakes, and they got off to that tremendous start. They were leading the Western Conference early in the year. They've fallen back, but they're still in a play-in situation. It's interesting. It's like at 34 and 36, they're on the cusp of being that last team in the play-in. Are they better off being in the play-in, or are they better off with more tickets to try and get Wembanyama?
That I don't know. I don't have the actual answer.
I wonder
for
what
that.
they think about it.
I don't have the actual answer for that. I would think their answer would be they would want to make the play-in, because if their answer is they want to be in the sweepstakes, I don't think you're going to see the main guys on the floor. You're going to see a lot of new faces and a lot of other guys playing.
Well, we're not seeing Markkanen or Sexton or Clarkson tonight. I mean, injury related, but
maybe the sentiment of if they want to be in the lottery or not has changed.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see the last 10 games how this is approached with Utah. Obviously, the first 2 games have been extremely competitive against this team, and for the Kings, when we started this trip, the barometer is always 500 on the road is good. You get 3 to outstanding road trip. Now they got a chance to get a sweep.
And Scott, that's how you have to approach every road trip. You know, you want to say 500 is the barometer, but if you can do something special on those road trips, now when you look at the overall scheme of it, then you start looking at the road schedule that the Sacramento Kings have. You know, you start looking, wow, you know, the Kings have had, you know, really big success on the road, and any team that can go out on the road and win and have big time success are going to be up in the top echelons.
No doubt. And, you know, the Kings with a win tonight, they could have the most wins of any team in the league on the road. The other team who has 23 road wins currently, Boston Celtics, coming tomorrow night.
All right. You know, I'm not looking over this game at all. Got to take care of business tonight. But I will say that the game against the Boston Celtics is still going to be another barometer of how good this basketball team really is.
No doubt. You've got the Celtics on Tuesday. You've got the Suns coming in on Friday. We know that Durant still won't be back for that one, but obviously it's a big week.
And see, and here's the thing with that. Even if the Kings are able to beat the Phoenix Suns at home, without Kevin Durant, that's still fool's gold to me.
It is, no doubt. We know that they're going to be a completely different team.
Yes, it's still fool's gold. If the Kings can go in and knock Phoenix off like they did last time, you know, played a hell of a basketball game, went in there and took care of business. But without Kevin Durant, it's fool's gold. Kevin Durant is a guy that can change the whole dynamic of any basketball club.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And the Suns certainly excited to get him back. And again, there's not really a timetable on him either. It's amazing how much injuries are playing a part of all our conversations here.
Well, Scooter, that's the NBA, baby.
It is.
You know, we talk about that every year. You know, you can have the best roster in the world, but if those guys aren't at your disposal and being able to be on the floor, it makes no difference. You know, like you said, Anthony Davis has only played 46 games. Okay. You know, just playing 46 games is not going to get it to you. I don't care if he won every last single game. He only won 46 games. So that's not going to get you to where you need to be.
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
It's just not enough. It's not going to get the job done. That's for sure. All right. Other things you want to see from the Kings tonight?
Solid basketball game, Scott. I understand it's a long road trip. They've been putting in a Herculean effort, but I want to see a solid game before they come back home. It's going to be a back-to-back. So, you know, you would think that, okay, Utah tonight, Kings come out, take care of your business early. Get the job done early so some of the other guys can play. You don't have to ride your guys all the way through because you got to understand you got a big game coming up tomorrow with Boston.
No doubt. And the magic number could be 3 after tonight.
Could be tree. All 3 of y'all.
It's amazing. I mean, it's just every mark that we thought the Kings couldn't leap over, they have, and then some.
You know, they're knocking them down one by one.
They are.
I like that. That's why I said, you know, you really don't put the cart before the horse. After a while, you say, hey, knock them down step by step. And that'll get it done.
Yeah, and for Sabonis, as we said, another Western Conference Player of the Week honor, second consecutive, third this year, first Kings player to win 3 Western Conference Player of the Week award honors. It's been an amazing year.
Now, do you get a trophy for that?
I don't know how that works out.
Or
I'm not sure.
Bonus check? Or
yeah,
what?
We'll have to check into that.
Okay.
I don't know what Adam Silver might present for that.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Did they put a banner up at the Golden One Center for that? 3-time Western Conference Player of the Week banner?
We like that, but it's not banner worthy, no.
It doesn't mean, yeah, exactly. All right, that's going to do it for game night. Henry's always great to work with you.
Yes, sir.
And have a great call tonight. All right, coming up next, Kings Live pregame. Jason Ross will be in here for that. Him and the High Flyer will break things down. The G-Man is always on the call tonight from Salt Lake City. Kings and Jazz, 6 o'clock tip. The Kings trying to have a perfect road trip, trying to get their 8th win on the road in a row, and trying to become the team with the most road wins in the NBA. It's coming your way all evening long. Keep it tuned. Kings basketball right here on Sactown Sports 1140. Have a great night, everyone.
All righty. Thank you, YouTube people, for stopping in. Go Kings, light the beam, all that good stuff. Have a good night.